Ghost and her ghost.
Mm-hmm.
I'm resident of Collinwood for YouTube. Joel Sands, that is my buddy Alan Gallant, that is my buddy Patrick McCray. We're here to talk episode 797, narrated by the lovely Terry Crawford. Sorry. Written by Sam Hall, directed by Henry Kaplan. This was recorded July 8th, 1969, broadcast July 15th, 1969. On a number count, it's a 788, which I don't know why. But anyway,
there's a syndication count, and then there's a ABC number count.
Oh, okay.
And they're two different numbers usually. So.
Okay. Is this like the slate thing where they had the slate?
The slate thing, yeah. Sometimes the slate thing is usually numbered for the number within that calendar year.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's what the slate number is. So that's a third number that you're dealing with.
I missed the old slate in front of the camera.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Those are pretty cool in the old episodes.
Yeah, they are. I love how if you open up the coffin box and you put in the old episodes, you see the slate.
Yeah. Sometimes you catch a candid moment from an actor too in those slates.
Yeah. You could hear Mitch Ryan and Lewis Edmonds laughing, and you hear Joe Bennett go, "We're slating."
They had one slate where one of the stage hands is holding the slate, and Alex Stevens is the werewolf. He's got his arm around his shoulder. That's pretty cool.
So this episode, they are waiting for Julianka to return. They being Magda and Quentin. They're in the old house. But they do not know she's dead. Barnabas has discovered her body by the end of the previous episode. He's going to carry it back all by his lonesome. And we see that's what we see. He comes in and says Julianka is dead. And the next thing we see her being laid down, her body laid down by Jonathan Fred Barnabas Collins. Patrick, what did you think of this opening, dude?
It's a fine one. What I think of the opening, I thought it was a wonderful portent of things to come. I think it was a good wrap up of what had happened in the prior episode. It was properly fatalistic, and then with more fatalism topped on top of that.
Yeah.
So it did its job. It wound up everything sufficiently so that I was compelled to watch the rest of the episode.
Yeah. Al, what did you think of this opening?
Well, for one thing, this whole episode is, of course, because of the semi-scratchy kinescope is like a 1970s print of a Universal horror film, which is kind of cool and atmospheric. But walks in, he announces it, the music cue, the body language of everybody changes. It's well done, and of course it's a smooth transition from the previous episode because both Henry Kaplan and Sam Hall were directly involved again in this episode. So they that sense of drama, that whole sense of transition is preserved from one episode to the other. So it's very effective. Very effective.
Yeah, for sure. We also Quentin is in, he's completely upset. He goes back to Collinwood. He's not going to help carry the gypsy and bury her. He's not going to help do that.
I'm going to go get probably.
Yeah, he actually says about that in this episode, which I like. And when he does go back to Collinwood, he runs into Terry Crawford's character, Beth, and there's a strange mark on her head, and it's the pentagram mark. Yeah, it's mark of the werewolf.
The old Chris Jennings pentagram routine. Yeah.
What did you guys? How worried were you initially when you first saw this that Beth was going to be a goner?
Oh, as a kid, I thought she definitely was. There's no
Well,
doubt, you know.
I mean, I have a sense she's a short timer anyway.
Right. You kind of, and especially since he's, I don't know, every woman in Quentin's life is transitional in one way or another. And at this point, of course, he's got this devil's bargain with Angelique. So you kind of figure, well, maybe this is the way they're going to get rid of her, blah, blah, blah. Well, they were more creative about it than that, fortunately, for Terry Crawford and for us, because, you know, she had a lot more to do later and interesting things. So, but yeah, I mean, as a kid seeing it, and then seeing it again in the 90s after I had kind of forgotten a lot of the detail of it, I still wasn't sure what was going to happen to her because I didn't entirely remember, and my memory would often play tricks on me reviewing the show in my 30s after not seeing it for a while.
Yeah. Patrick, what did you think? Did you think she was a goner?
Oh, the first time I saw it, sure. I thought there's a good chance of it. She certainly is making every decision possible to make herself a goner.
Mm-hmm.
And to a point where Quentin can't really stop her. It's like, you know what, you're going to do what you want.
Yeah, he tried to push
sure,
her away, and she,
over with.
I want to be with you, and it's like, okay,
it's a choice.
Yeah.
Again, we did, because at the time it's like, well, is that how Beth becomes a ghost? We don't know, but we know eventually what's going to happen to her, but anybody who usually gets that pentagram mark on them, they're a goner. So that, I think this is really clever decision by Sam Hall and very well written.
It also adds to the tension of the scene and just kind of piques his argument against her hanging around him, so
I think he really makes the argument successfully a number of times. She just doesn't hear it.
Right. She doesn't want to hear it.
And I think she has a lot of fatal. I think Beth knows that she's got a terrible life and she's got a worse life ahead of her.
Yeah, it's like
there's not going to be vast mobility for her.
From being Judith's whipping girl to working in a abandoned mill. Eventually, it
has not been a good summer.
No.
1969 for her.
No. Well, that's the thing too. Like, you have Beth pursuing Quentin, you have Angelique pursuing Quentin. I mean, more women pursue Quentin Collins than James Bond. I mean, it's crazy. And then it's like, Angelique knows what Quentin is. I mean, she knows he's a werewolf, but she doesn't care either.
No, she has certain defenses against that too. So,
but will they work?
Oh, she's already dead. I mean, she's already dead several times. So no problem there.
This is basically like a Dragon Ball Z where Goku is already dead and he has the halo above his head. So it doesn't matter, right?
Right.
It's like, okay. Right.
There's going to be a recovery from whatever happens in terms of that. The irony to me is with Beth's relationship to Quentin is up to this point, I think she's the only person that we've been exposed to anyway, any woman that actually has any kind of a healthy sort of love for him. She actually does have a love for him.
Sure.
Now, I mean, you can argue that Jenny did at one point in time, but she's completely bonkers now, and it's it goes between homicidal obsession and sort of, oh my God, I'd like to see him again, but then when she does, she takes the knife to him. So yeah, it's ironic to me, and of course it's toxic for her. And Quentin at this point, I think he cares something for her. Otherwise, he wouldn't make the argument, maybe. But I don't think he has any sort of deep love for her at this point. It just doesn't compute that he does. And he hasn't really, he's not found that in anybody. I think he's been the dude that's gone from cheap thrill to cheap thrill most of his adult life in terms of women. So it's hard for him to really sort of deeply love somebody that way.
I mean, by the end of 1897, I mean, he's got Amanda Harris like chasing after him. I mean, he's got.
She seems to be the one, you know.
Yeah, she seems to be.
She seems to be the one. Because there's an intensity there, because he feels the tragedy as well as she. I think when they're separated and Angelique prevents them from being together, and then they're reunited much later, after his foray at the High Hat Lounge and all of that in 1970. It's bizarre. There is no High Hat Lounge in Portland. I'm sorry to tell you guys, but it never was.
I would have looked. It's too bad that High Hat Lounge logo that's on the match book is seen so briefly. Because that's just a terrific thing to have, be a line of High Hat Lounge.
Yes, T-shirts and all sorts of things. Yeah,
That sounds like a T-shirt for the Collinsport Historical Society to make.
Sure,
that's what that sounds like.
It's just too blurry.
Yeah, you can't really. There are other examples of High Hat Lounge logos. I've checked them out because I'm an eBay guy, but I don't know if any of them would be close enough to say, well, that's authentic enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. I really love that we do get a seance by the end of this episode. Mm-hmm. They are summoning the ghost of Julianka, and she doesn't care. Like, no,
she's not having it.
Yeah, she ain't happy.
She's not having it at all. This seance is interesting because the lead up to this seance is really illustrative of one of Barnabas's huge freaking flaws, which is whether you're in doubt or not, be absolutely confident that you're right. And he makes that argument, and he screams Magda's doubts down, and damn it, we're going to do this.
His explanation for the book's presence defies any temporal logic I can think of.
I think that maybe he was looking for lines at that point, perhaps. I don't know, but that would sort of make sense. I think, yeah, you're right. It's I'll get to it. I'll get to it.
Eve went back to 1795, took the book back to 1968.
Yes,
but because it's not 1968. The book should still
be there. But wait, there's more. Yeah, it was kind of convoluted. But he absolutely insists that this seance must take place.
Yeah.
And in spite of the fact that, are you kidding me? Of course the spirit's going to be PO'd. She got killed on a mission to get the hand back. She didn't get the hand back. She, and she gets killed by, we don't know yet, but we know, and that probably adds, salt to the wound in terms of what she's feeling in the afterlife. And the first thing she says is, I am dead and I do not like it.
That's right. It's just a logical thing to say.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah. So it was like, no. I think you should have listened to Magda Barnabas on this one.
I think too. It's nice to see like characters have flaws, whether it's Barnabas or anybody else. I'll give a great character flaw of everybody's favorite Dragon Ball Z character, Goku. There was a character on that show called Cell, and the character is basically near death. Okay, what's Goku do? Tosses his ass a sensu bean, killing him. And it's like, why?
Get it over with.
Why on God's green earth did you do it? And it's like,
put him out of his misery.
Like, what the? And Piccolo's like, what the fuck? Like, he doesn't say it, but it's like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
But some characters get wrote with major flaws, and some get
Flaws make characters
too.
interesting. They make characters interesting.
Yeah.
They provide conflict. They provide mistakes that change the course of the story or the drama or the dramatic impact. The flaws are important. They're built a lot of times. They're built in internal conflicts.
You don't have any sort of story unless you have a flaw.
Yeah.
For the character to have to get over or not see, and then suffer the effects of.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. It's
and that's not the only Goku flaw either. He does some stupid shit.
Tell us more about Goku.
Well, we'll get to that one day. But no, okay. Well,
have you run out of wrestling stuff to compare?
No. Listen,
it's Dragon Ball Z.
My wife wanted to watch have a Dragon Ball Z marathon, so we did, and we're watching the Majin Buu arc, and
as one does.
Bobbity, who's a wizard,
golden,
who can unlock someone's evil if they have evil in their heart. Here's Vegeta, who Goku knows has been an evil bastard in his past life, and he can't put 2 and 2 together to think Vegeta would turn evil. Just saying. But yeah.
It's to sustain something. When that happens, it's willing suspension of belief in this case. It's to sustain some dramatic peak or valley or whatever it is. So the person, it's like it's done in Dark Shadows all the time. It's done with the simple sentence, "I don't understand."
Yeah,
it's done all the time.
No, I Victoria Winters would have understood this if she knew Vegeta. That's all I'll say. My wife, who watched all of Dragon Ball Z with me one time, she goes, "They write Goku so fucking stupid." I said, "Yeah, they did."
Well, I mean, one of the reasons why Alex Moltka wanted to play a different character or a different version of her character was because she thought that she was getting too dumb and goofy. I mean, that's literally what she said, kind of about that. And I mean, she had a boyfriend who she loved and was going to marry, who kept arguing this point. There's something weird about this guy. There's something weird about this guy. And she refused to hear any of it. So,
yeah.
In spite of the fact that she was literally hypnotized and bitten by him on one occasion. So,
she would have made a great villain. I mean, the better the baby face, the better the heel.
Well, I think, they might have done some possession scheme or something like that with the character in order to, I don't know. It might have played. Yeah, might have played. What's you guys' favorite scene in this episode?
I think the seance and Julianga's hilarious.
I do not like it.
It's great.
It is, and it's so true, as you said before. Yeah, I think that's a great scene, and it leads into a great scene at the beginning of the next episode too. So
I also like Quentin's poetry. It just his poetic ruminations on the upcoming evening and how that's going to go. It's some of Quentin's best kind of Joseph Cottoning around the set.
Yeah. And it also strikes to the core of where his head and heart is at this point in his life. I mean, it's just, it's like, oh, great, you're going to cure me. Yeah, sure, right.
I like the dream sequence.
He's not, prove it to me. Okay, I'll see you later.
I like Quentin's dream sequence up in his room. That was neat. I like that plot.
Yeah.
So we've had seances, and don't get me wrong, I do think Julianka, the actress, steals the show as a ghost. The lines she gets are really good.
Yeah. Do you think Diana Davila knew how hilarious bizarre that dialogue was? Do you think she knew, or was it just normal to her?
Probably difficult to say. I think that she may have had a sense of it because she was kind of how do I want to put this? She had a kind of an upper class attitude. Her parents were pretty well off, and in real life, she had been schooled in various places around the world, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
She had an international sensibility. Plus, again, her parents were, well off. They were upper class movers and shakers, much in the same way as Alex Molke's parents were. I think
they knew each other from social circles prior to Dark Shadows.
I don't know. Hard to say. I mean,
I don't know much about her.
No, I don't either. Except she's Peruvian. I mean, that's where her parents came from originally.
No.
But she was schooled in various places, including the United States. So she really did have a wide world sort of upbringing and was well traveled by this time. And at this point in time, I think she's only 23 when she does Dark Shadows.
Now, was she still dating Howard Cosell?
Yes, I think that's where she got her attitude from, actually, Howard.
Imagine.
She used to smoke cigars with Howard if they rush a tea room. The cigars were bigger than she was, but
yeah,
she was into that. So,
this was a really good episode. Everybody nailed it. It's really entertaining.
It is.
So, is there anything you guys want to add before we go?
Yeah, I like saying things and nobody hears me.
Oh, I thought your mic went out there for a second. So
no. Well, maybe it did, but I didn't have anything to do with it.
Okay.
Joel, did you ever see the movie Little Cigars?
No.
Look that up.
You want me to look it up?
Look it up, Joel.
I'll look it up when we get done here.
I think it's an Al Goldstein movie.
Is it a movie you're wanting to review?
Oh, I would kill to review it. But no, it's just when you think of Diana Davila and cigars, Little Cigars comes to mind because she's little.
She is little.
And then if you look at the cast of Little Cigars, you'll understand even more. And then there was one.
Then there was one. Oh my god.
The last sitting.
Oh my god. Yeah. Well, if you guys don't want to do Little Cigars tomorrow, which I mean I'm willing to do, I have a movie suggestion. How about we review Airplane?
Very easy movie for me to talk about. I mean, I teach it multiple times a year, so I'm well versed in the film.
If you drink it tonight, you won't have one for in the morning. One.
What's going on?
I think they're.
Yeah, sorry. All right.
No.
Airplane tomorrow night, guys.
In the morning. I want tonight. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Let us go Airplane tomorrow. I'm alive and I do not like it.
There you go. All right. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good night.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Drink your chocolate.